Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chat Show podcast. I'm your host, Justin Everett. I got my co-host Tyler Hill with me today here on the show. And Tyler, as always, I'm going to tell you and all the fine folks out there a crazy / funny / unbelievable / intense story from my life. This one, once again, is one of the famous Brandon, also known as Scoop, and his grandmother stories. So if you and all the listeners out there are ready, here it goes. Okay, so this is part 2. So anyway, we're still in the bathroom at the fish funeral, and Miss Connie is wrapping up. We've been in there like about 30 minutes, but it feels like an hour longer. It feels like it feels like 3 hours, an hour to 3 hours. It was long. It didn't feel like 30 minutes. It was long. Like I said, me and Brandon are trying not to laugh. We're like red about to bust, because how are we supposed to take this seriously? A funeral for a fish, and what's even funnier is his grandma's taking it seriously. So she's wrapping it up, still giving her a little speech. Anyway, Charlie was a great fish. He liked me the best, because none of the other fish besides Freddy. Freddy! Ah! No, I said I wasn't going to do this. With the exception of Freddy, Charlie was the only fish who would swim to where I was when I would walk by the tank. He'd always, if I was at the corner of the tank, he'd swim to the corner. All the other fish would just stay back. I always made sure to give him extra fish food, because he was so good to me. All the other fish were just kind of there, thinking I'm just some lady who feeds them. Charlie and me had a deep, meaningful relationship. Oh, and I wanted to go to Hawaii with them so bad. But now that's never gonna happen. Ah! And then she's just crying. She said, I want to share one more memory, and then we'll close out the funeral, or the fish funeral. I remember one day, I told Scoop, I'm going to the store to get some stuff. And Scoop said, all right, Mama, you go. The minute I said I'm going to the store to get some stuff, Charlie started doing all these twirls and spins and going crazy in the tank, so I'm assuming he wanted to go. So once again, I got his little special container, dipped it in the water, put him in there, and took him with me to the store. Oh, we had such a good time. We were laughing and singing and dancing. I was like, dancing? He's got a little 1-inch space. How the heck does he dance? He dances, okay? When he moves his little fin and his little tail, he dancing. Anyway, then I remembered we stopped at the whole fish section. The shrimp, catfish, the cod, the crab. Charlie looked at me, and I could tell by the way he was looking at me, he was thinking, it's like being at a funeral with some of my friends and family. And I kind of started tearing up too, so I said, we gonna walk past this section, baby. Then we went down the snack aisle. Ooh, Charlie loved the snack aisle. I'd always get me those Werther's little caramels, and I'd break off a little bitty piece, put it in his bowl. He'd eat that up. Me and him laughed, and we loved Werther's. We was just having a ball at that grocery store. Then one day, when I went to the checkout counter, this was a few weeks later, by the way, baby. I'd take Charlie with me to the grocery store all the time. We were at the checkout counter, and this lady in front of us started screaming and hollering at the cashier. Well, what do you know? Charlie was banging his little head up against the top of the container as if he wanted out. He would look like as if he was trying to jump out the bowl of the container. So naturally, I undid the lid, took the lid off, and woo, Charlie jumped out of that container into that woman's hair, started flopping around in her hair, and then woo, back into the container. Well, the woman got so scared and freaked out, she left. And then the cashier looked at me and said, thank you, Miss Connie, and your fish. 'Cause your fish jumped in that woman's hair, she didn't continue to yell at me, because I don't like it when people yell at me. And that lady was laying into me and yelling at me because your fish jumped out of the container into her hair. He freaked her out and she left, and now she's not yelling at me anymore. I thank you and your fish. You see how good Charlie was? You see how good he was? And now he's gone. So about 5 more minutes of that blubbering. Finally, she says, now, no more. Goodbye, Charlie. Swim in peace. And then she says, okay, let's go get the fish and bury it. And then we walk out to the living room, into the little area where the tank is. And she says, now, Scoop, you sure that fish is, you sure Charlie's dead? You sure? You sure? He was like, yeah, Mama, he's dead. And then she said, all right, we'll get him out of there and we're going to go bury him. And here's where the little trick comes in. So Scoop reaches his hand in the tank, picks up Charlie, and says, see, Mama, he's dead. She goes, you right, baby, he did. And then he shakes it in front of her face and goes, "Ah!" And he scares her. She goes, "Ah!" Screams, gets scared, and he says, I'm just playing with you, Mama. What is wrong with you? Don't do that! And then she grabs the dead fish, Charlie, out of Brandon's hand and hits him in the face. What's the matter with you? That ain't funny. You know how close me and Charlie were? You over here playing. He's dead. You ain't supposed to be playing. This ain't funny. Don't do that to me. You about gave me a heart attack. Boom. Hits him again with the fish. He goes, Mama, quit hitting me with that fish. Boom. I hit you with it all I want. Boom, boom, boom. And then he says, Mama, if you hit me with that fish one more time, what? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Go ahead, hit me. Hit me with it one more time. Whoa, boom. It was like the Matrix, slow motion. Whoa, boom. Hits him in the face with that fish. And then he grabs the fish, starts hitting her. So they're going back and forth, beating each other with this dead fish. He grabs it from her, hits her in the face. She grabs it from him, hits him in the face. Boom, 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 back and forth, beating each other with this dead fish. Boom, boom. Then she gets Brandon in a headlock, grabs Charlie, and starts just going boom, 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 laying into him with the fish, and she got him in a headlock. She says, yeah, Charlie, I'm going to avenge your death. I'm going to avenge you, Charlie. Yeah, yeah, fight him, Charlie. Get him, Charlie. See, Charlie ain't even alive, and he kicking your ass. Boom, 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 boom. And then he slips out of the headlock, takes Charlie from her. Boom, boom. So back and forth, this is going on for 10 minutes. They're beating each other with this dead fish. First it was a live ferret, now it's a dead fish. Going back and forth, hitting each other hard in the face with this dead goldfish. But it was big. It wasn't a little goldfish. It got pretty big, because they can get really big. It was about the size of it was almost the size of a catfish. Almost. It was pretty big. So they're beating each other with this goldfish. And then finally, Brandon, it slips out of Brandon's hand, and then she tries to slap Brandon with her hand, and he grabs her by the shirt collar, yanks her, jerks her to the right, grabs her by the back of her, he jerks her to the right, and the right of her, the side of her, scrapes up against the fish tank. So then Brandon grabs the back of her head and dunks it in the fish tank with the water. Just whoosh! He dunked her head in the fish tank, and the water was still in there, and she still had 4 or 5 fish alive in there. And he dunks her head in the fish tank. Back up. She's, oh, hell no! Hell no! Her face is wet. Her hair's wet. You are not. I know you did not just dunk my head in that fish tank. Now, for those of us who don't know, he got her hair wet. You get a black woman's hair wet, you're in trouble. So anyway, she was like, you just got my hair wet? And you dunked me in the fish tank? Hell no. So then she grabs his head, woof, dunks his head in the fish tank, pulls it up. Yeah, woo, dunks it again. Woo, yeah, it's like you're bobbing for apples. Bob for the apples. Bob for the apples. Whoosh, woo. Woo! Dunk back and forth, dunking his head in the fish tank. Then he grabs her by the back of her head. Woo! Dunks her in the fish tank again. Woo! Pulls her up. So they're dunking each other in this fish tank, their heads. And then, and then, after she comes out of the fish tank, she says, "You know what? You know what? I done had enough of this. I hate to do this. I hate to do this, Scoop, but you leave me no choice. Cletus, let's go." She picks up. Cletus was the old catfish. The catfish was still alive. Picks up the catfish. Boom! Hits him in the face with the live catfish. It's flopping around going crazy because she just picked it up out of the water. And if you pick a live fish up out of the water, it goes crazy. It starts flopping around, going crazy. Whoop-oo! So then Brandon picks up one of the live goldfish. Whoopang! And now they're going back and forth, hitting each other with live fish. Whoopang! 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 Hitting each other in the face. Back and forth. Whoopang! 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 That's going on for about 30 seconds. Then they drop them back in the tank because, fish can't live out of water too long or else they'll die. They drop them back in the tank. And then, after that, he pulls her her pet bird out of the cage because they had birds, fish, they had a dog, hamsters, you name it. It was like a petting zoo in there. Pulls her pet bird out of the cage and says, "Mama, if you don't stop, and with all this nonsense, if you don't stop trying to attack me and hit me and just sit down and calm down, Spanky's going out the window." No! Okay, okay. Not Spanky! No! Spanky's my other baby. I done lost 2 of my babies. I can't lose 3. No! Okay, okay, Scoop. Okay, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna calm down. But you have to apologize for scaring me with that with Charlie's corpse. He goes, "All right, Mama. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. That was wrong. That was stupid. I'm sorry. All right, baby. Now put Spanky back in the cage." Puts him back in the cage. And then he looks at her and goes, "Psych!" and grabs Spanky back out of the cage and runs in his room and locks the door. She goes, "Oh, he done messed up now, Justin. He done messed up now, Justin." And I'm just sitting on the couch. I need to get me a box of popcorn just watching the show. He, well, actually, there was a box of Cracker Jacks on the table, coffee table, so there we go. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I was eating a box of Cracker Jacks sitting on the couch just watching the show. She says, "He done messed up now, Justin. He done messed up now." So she goes out, out on the porch, grabs, I'm not going to tell you what she grabs yet until later. She grabs something, brings it in the house, and says, starts laughing. "He gonna be sorry. He gonna be sorry." She says, "Now what I want you to do, Justin, go knock on the door and tell him that I'm not here. Tell him I stepped outside. So he'll come out and put Spanky back in the cage. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hide behind the couch. Then when he comes out, I'm gonna lay into him with this, the tool she has, which you're about to find out what it is." So I go I'm like, "I really don't want to get involved in this. This is between you two. Justin, if you don't go knock on that door, I'm going to use this tool on Scoop and you." And I'm like, okay, I better go knock on the door.
Oh my god.
So I knock on the door. I'm like, "Scoop?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Your grandma's not here right now. She stepped out." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, come on out." He said, "Oh, good." He said, "Ooh, I, I couldn't stay in there too much longer. Spanky pooped in my hand and the smell was killing me." I said, "Then put him back in the cage." He said, "All right." And then he goes washes his hand. And I say, "Come out here. We'll play some video games. We'll play that Halo game." He's like, "Cool." He comes out in the living room. And then he's looking at me saying, "That was pretty funny what I did to my grandma, wasn't it?" I said, "I told you not to do it." I said, "You're gonna be sorry." He said, "She ain't gonna do nothing. We're done fighting. She ain't gonna do nothing no more." I was like, "Okay." Then he says, "She's worn out. She's not gonna do anything to me." And then she pops up from behind the couch. "That's what you think. Ha!" Now, the tool she had was a fertilizer spreader. She had poured fertilizer in it was like one of those crank fertilizer spreaders that you hold in your hand to spread the fertilizer on your yard. She had a crank fertilizer spreader, and she cranked it right in Brandon's face. She just pops up from behind the couch. That's what you think. Ah, voo, 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 voo. She's cranking it. Fertilizer squirting in his eyes and his face. He's like, my eyes, my face. Ah, ah, ah. She's cranking the crap out of this spreader. And all this fertilizer's flying out like bullets in his face. Just and she's cranking it hard. I was about to say that crank is about to come off. God, she's just cranking. All the fertilizer flying in his face. Then Brandon gets up off the couch, runs into the shower, I guess, to rinse it all out of his face. And she goes, ha 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 ha. That's what he gets for messing with me and my fish. Nobody messes with me and my Charlie. Nobody. Nobody. And she starts dancing. Nobody. Oh, oh, nobody. Oh, 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 nobody. Nah. Then Brandon comes out of the bathroom. Okay, Mama. I'm sorry. For real this time. And we're even. She says, thank you, baby. Now let's go bury Charlie. We go bury him. We get back. Hey, baby. Hey, she's talking to Brandon. You good? Yeah. You want something to eat? No, not right now. All right, baby. I love you. I love you too, Grandma. Once again, my jaw drops down to the floor and stays there.
Oh my gosh.
They just got through hitting each other with dead and live fish, dunking each other's head in the tanks, freaking slapping each other. She shoots him with fertilizer, with a fertilizer crank. And now y'all are, hey baby, hey, want some to eat? No, I love you. Wow, y'all are so dysfunctional. My gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all are beyond dysfunctional.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, that's the end of the story.